From MPB Think Radio, this is Now You're Talking. It's the show about the most interesting people and stories of Mississippi. I'm your host, Marshall Ramsey. I am editor-at-large and editorial cartoonist of Mississippi Today. Our guest today has mastered turning adversity into triumph, whether on the football field by becoming a Super Bowl champion in 2013 or on Lice Field, where he faced homelessness and then became an incredible husband and father of four. Michael Oher is here today to discuss his newest book, When Your Back's Against the Wall, Fame, Football, and Lessons Learned Through a Lifetime of Adversity. Got a copy of it right here. I'm going to hold it up for the cameras on radio. You can't see it as well. His book signing is today, Monday, here at Lemuria Books. And we're going to talk a little bit about his time in the NFL, his life as a Super Bowl champion, how he beat the odds in the Oher Foundation, and much, much more. Michael, I can't tell you what a huge honor this is to have you in studio and get to meet you. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor for me to be back in Mississippi. It's been, don't get down too often, but it's an honor. I'm glad to be here. Loved Mississippi. It gave me so much, and actually spent a lot of time. I feel like I'm from Mississippi rather than Tennessee. The amount of time I spent here, going to college and even after. So, no, it's an honor, and looking forward to everyone coming out today to the signing.
Well, everybody in Mississippi always says that Memphis is the true capital of Mississippi anyway. So we'll and of course you did spend some quality time at Ole Miss too, playing some really good football. So you're Mississippian.
Oh, for sure. It's nothing like Oxford, Mississippi. That good old soul food, and being in the South, and you don't have to be so politically correct all the time, and you can just be yourself. So, that's what I've always enjoyed about it all. And, even doing this book right here, just being yourself. And it's a quote that you told me earlier, and I loved, and it was about, getting back to who you are, getting back to the roots, and chasing your true identity and your soul, and not being so fearful of what to come, and just being you. I think it's the most important tool that you can have as a person. Yeah. And you kind of get away from that and forget that foundation and what got you to where you want to go and where you are. And, when you get off course, just think back to where you started and the journey that you were on, and the fundamentals and the plan that you put in place, and it'll set you right back on the right course.
Michael, a lot of us got to know you through the book and then the movie, The Blind Side, but in a way we didn't get to know you. And I think you did a really good job with your first book, I Beat the Odds, which was a fantastic New York Times bestselling book. Congratulations. But this book, I think it goes beyond that even, that I think that when you read this book, you understand the fire that burns inside of Michael Oher. And it's great on many different levels. Number one, you understand, and you do a good job telling a little bit about your backstory, and that's great. But you also you give 9 tips that can help. And I think anybody who picks this book up, and it helped me, and I'll be really honest with you, I'm not super fawning all the time about every book I read, I promise. I literally picked it up after I'd had surgery last week and sat down and read it. And it absolutely helped get me through that. But it also helped me get through a time, when I'm like, here I am at a certain point in my life where I feel like my career's changing and everything else. And you look at what happened to you. Because when you left us at the end of I Beat the Odds, man, you were on top of the world. You were like literally in the NFL. You had great things yet ahead of you and everything else. And then as life sometimes does, it pulled the rug out from under you. One hit. It took one hit, and your life totally changed. And there's a lot of things in this book that I'll get you to talk about in just a second. There's a lot of things in this book that really impressed me. Your story about how you overcame your concussion absolutely moved me and made me realize that you are a man of steel. Yeah, because anybody who's ever had a concussion, folks,
I thought that was Superman.
Okay. What's your kryptonite? I tell you what mine is. It's fried food. I love fried food, but no, I mean seriously,
food and beverage for me as well. Jesus, it won't let me be great. I'm always chasing a diet. I mean, I'm always starting over.
Let me ask you on that.
Tracy's here. Tracy's here right now. She's
got a big old grin.
She says,
knows.
Stop with the day ones. Just can make it a lifestyle. You know, it's hard. It's hard. But you know, it's just being from the South. And especially just thinking about that. We'll get back to what we're talking about. But
Oxford. How did you survive in Oxford? Because there is so much good food in Oxford.
I'm always on a diet, like I said. But when you grow up and you don't have anything, it's hard for you to. You can't go and decide what you want to eat, and you have to take the scraps and just take anything you have. And you know, when you're able to get out here and I can go get this, and I can buy this and make this at home. I love grilling, and man, that's just what I want to do 365 days. But
I bet when you're grilling for your circle, your friends are over, that is a heck of a party.
Oh, you can't. That's something I love more than anything. Sitting on a patio, listening to juke joint music, and you know, having a time. I mean, it's that's what I was chasing all of my young life. Is that right there, and you can't get enough of it.
I think there was one section that moved me. You weren't in school, and which meant that you were deprived of 5 meals. You know, a lot of people don't think about that when you're homeless and you're not going to school, because obviously school provides a free lunch every day, right? The fact that you went and sold newspapers so that you could get that meal on that. And I grew up a million miles away from Hurt Village.
Yeah.
So I have no idea of what you went through and what forged you. And it forged you, right? But that was some of the most moving parts of the book to me, was the fact that you got up every day, you set an alarm because you realized that you needed to get out there and get busy to make things happen.
Yeah, that's I understood that as as a kid. It's like I said earlier, at 3 years old, my first memory is homeless. And after that, then you're in and out of foster care and shelters, and you get tired that early. At 10 years old, you're considered you're almost an adult. And the environment that I grew up in, it's time to start thinking about helping the family out, helping just doing your part. Because in a few years, when you turn 18, I mean, you're on your own. It's over for you. So I didn't have many people that I looked up to, mentors, and everyone around me was no role model. So I took it upon myself to get out, find jobs, and sell newspapers, and do any and everything that I had to steal from grocery stores just to put food in the refrigerator, or when I could. So, you know, I developed that early on, just being a leader and just trying to be something different than everything that was around me. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if it was the right thing, you know, if it was, I just knew it was better than anything else that I could be doing. So, you know, it motivated me just to be, you know, something different.
There were so many easy paths you could have taken that would have taken you down a bad path, but you didn't take them. You always managed to take the right path. That's pretty amazing for any kid to do, no matter one that's having to struggle for the next meal.
Yeah, it is. And when I think back on it, I often think what made me do it, and I think it was bigger than me their entire time. I feel one of the tougher people mentally, but I think it was a purpose. I know it's young people out there that's not going to get the opportunities, or not going to be afforded the resources, just like I wasn't. But they're not going to be my size. They're not going to be able to play sports. They're not going to be in entertainment. You know, they're not going to get those opportunities I got because of what I was able to do. And for me, I want to be able to continue to give back to those who, because I grew up around so many of those young people who, had they been given an opportunity, they would have been just as successful in something else. So all those things that I went through, I knew it was, looking back, it was a purpose behind it. And, you know, they say, would you do it again? I would probably wouldn't, but no, I would, because it builds character. It helped me become who I am, and the thrill of it all is seeing the young girls going through the Oher Foundation this year, who started school and will be afforded that education through the Oher Foundation and through our opportunity program, Spotlight program, and that right there is going to change the trajectory of their life, and they will be so much more. And I couldn't be more proud of anything else, to be able to know that you're changing lives in that way. And all it took for me was to do the right thing. And that was easy for me, just to do the right thing. And that was just going to school. That was going to school every day, not getting involved in the environment and the drugs and the gangs. And I easily could. Yeah. I was going down that path, but I saw a purpose, and I started to separate myself from those other kids that I was around, because I've always been a leader by action. So you have to separate yourself, and you have to understand that in order for you to reach and go where you want to go, sometimes you have to be alone.
Yeah, we have a special guest, Michael Oher's in the studio. His new book is When Your Back's Against the Wall. It's famed football and lessons learned through a lifetime of adversity. You're signing books today at Lemuria here in Jackson. What time is your book signing? 5 o'clock. Excellent.
5 to 7.
By the way, you're going to love meeting him. I've really enjoyed getting to meet you and get to talk to you a little bit. I was a fan before, but I really do like the book. And not to spoil the book before we take the break, but I will say that it has a very happy ending, because you were literally paying the blessings you've gotten forward, and with the Michael Oher Foundation. How many kids are going through that right now?
This year we got 2 that started, Lipscomb Academy in Nashville.
Awesome.
We partner with schools that have a great education background, and through the foundation, we place a success coordinator, staff inside the school. And it's about mentorship and surrounding the kids with community, and education is key. And what that success coordinator does, they're there for those kids every day. It's a mentor, someone that they can talk to, and they won't be able to get when they're at home. Yeah. Because I didn't have that until 16 years old. That's when I first started to see different people doing positive things. So to have someone, they're already in a great environment, but to have someone they can come and talk to, and talk about life skills, talk about where I want to go to college, talk about career and where I want to be in life, and surrounded by all of that mentally, that's tons and tons of motivation. And wow.
I tell you what, on the other side of the break, why don't we talk about a few names from the book that you mentioned that helped you along the way? Because obviously you had the fire in your heart, but you also had a lot of really great people that came along the way that helped lift you and push you forward. And we'll talk about them as well. Michael Oher's in the studio. This is Now You're Talking. We'll be back right after the break.
Fix It 101 is a fun podcast with lots of home improvement information. Even if that's not your bag, all of the episodes are archived online. So if the mood strikes you, or if the need motivates you, you can search your project. And yes, there is a Fix It 101 podcast for that.
Here and Now brings you the latest news from around the country.
I have a life brimming with people who've made different choices, and I've never tried in my personal life to impose my choices on them.
Seems to me that people are being responsible, and yet it keeps spreading.
I've been door knocking and making phone calls and working in offices. I'm willing to do anything for this man.
Hear the latest news as it develops on the next Here and Now from NPR News.
Today at noon on MPB Think Radio. The information presented on this program is meant to provide general information about the topics discussed and is not necessarily the opinion of Mississippi Public Broadcasting. The information presented does not create any type of relationship between the hosts and guests and the listening audience. Please consult an appropriate professional for guidance about your concerns.
Welcome back. This is Now You're Talking on MPB Think Radio. A special episode today. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. I've loved it. We got a great guest. Michael Oher is here. Yeah, you remember him. You know, there was a little movie called The Blind Side, but folks, that movie was good in a lot of ways. But really, honestly, his new book, When Your Back's Against the Wall, Famed Football Lessons Learned Through a Lifetime of Adversity, is 10 times better because you get to discover a little bit about the guy behind everything. And you understand, you know, you got the flame, you got the purpose. And your purpose now, obviously, is helping out people that are following along in the same path that you followed in. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Jermaine is in the studio as well. Jermaine, man, number one, it's always good to see you. Thank you for being awesome.
No.
I'm glad you survived the rodeo last week.
I did. Thank you for being awesome, too. But I wanted to tell...
Okay, how much is that going to cost me? Every time she says something nice, it costs me $10.
I wanted to say, one, to Mr. Oher, I thank you so much for coming on. Now You're Talking with Marshall Ramsey. And two, to our audience, right now we are live on Facebook. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. So you can go to MPB's Facebook and YouTube pages, and you can see Marshall's beautiful face next to...
No, I'm holding up the book.
Right next to Super Bowl champion Michael Oher.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Now, I hope the camera's on him more than it's on me. So thank you. I appreciate that as well. Okay. You know, they always say that, I think you had a quote in there, and I'm going to try to find it in my notes. It was something to the tune of, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yep.
And number one, I mean, you have got a really tight circle of folks. And I would dare to say that the second best ring that you ever received was your Super Bowl ring. That your wedding ring probably was number one.
Most definitely.
Yeah, it's a chance right here for you to say something nice, get you out of any trouble you might be in. So just let you.
No, that's definitely the most important thing. It's, you know, for me with that, we just got married in November, but it goes back to what you said earlier. With that is growing and learning and having that and bringing everything all together and making it make sense. But with that comes time and patience and growing. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing when you have something I've been wanting all my life, what I've been chasing.
Yeah.
Things get derailed. And I think the most important part about it all, you know, it comes with a healing process as well.
You got a family now.
Yeah, so it's great. I can be who I am back to the, you know, person that I've always wanted to be. You know, when you get derailed, you kind of lose a sense of who you are. So, you know, being someone who I can guide and take my family to even better heights, is bigger and better things, it's incredible.
You know, you've been on top of the mountaintop. I can't even imagine how you felt at the end of that game when you were a Super Bowl champion. I mean, okay, number one, I didn't get past 12th grade playing football, so no, I would have no idea. But that had to be amazing. And literally, you figured you were going to do the Ray Lewis and have the long career. Like that was his final game. And, you know, you were looking forward to the day when you could, after 22 or whatever seasons, that you could have it. One hit changed the trajectory of your whole life and your whole career. That had to be so incredibly scary. But you weren't alone. You had people there that kind of helped you and helped kind of keep you afloat before you could start swimming again.
Yeah. The Super Bowl, you know, that's a feeling that I've chased since I started even thinking about football, 10 years old, you know, being a big Dallas Cowboy fan and, you know, going through high school and college and losing the playoffs the first few years. And, you know, the Super Bowl is the pinnacle to me of all sports because everyone around the globe is sitting around and just enjoying one game. So to win that, you can't, I mean, you so much weight falls off your shoulders because it's hard to even imagine the feeling that you get, especially for me, coming from the very bottom and not even seeing and being able to imagine something like that from where I'm from, and to be there to win it, it'll be forever be surreal to me. And yeah, when I started playing football, and my goal was to be in Canton, Ohio, and be a Hall of Fame football player, and be a perennial All-Pro, and to be the best offensive tackle to ever play the game was my goal. And that's how hard I worked at it. But things. This was year 8 for me, and still had time. Still wanted to play the game for a long time, and I've always been the first one in the building, last one out since I can remember. And to have something happen to you that is out of your control. Like I always said, a mind is the most powerful tool. A broken bone, a twisted ankle, knee, or something. I've played through injury after injury. I probably should have missed the entire career of games, the amount of injuries and hurt things I've played through. But mentally, you have to be at 100% capacity to do anything great. And NFL that's one of them. And to have something you chased since you were a kid taken away definitely was one of the toughest things to ever happen to me. But I've always had the fire as well inside, like you said, but you can't do everything alone. Yeah. And I started this journey alone, and I just thought at the time that I can get through this alone. And then after so long, you realize that you have to be vulnerable. You need help. You need someone to talk to. You need someone to help you get out of this. Even though you have that close circle, that close knit, but when you have to think the way that I've thought for so long, you just think you can do it. And luckily I had people that I can talk to, of course my wife and couple close friends, and that help you continue to pull through. And then the final pieces, the want to that I had, that I knew that I had a bigger purpose, and I had other people that was counting on me to get out of those dark times. So you start to fight, and you see a crack of light, and then you just continue to go. You're crawling and you're walking, and you think you think it in the beginning that you'll never get back to that person that you once were. But through help, to this day right here, my circle is getting me back to who I was, and still healing and still becoming that person I was prior to when all these stories were created. But that's the most important thing for me. That scares. Even I thought about this the other day. It scared me. That frightened me more than anything. Not being that young kid I was when I started this journey. The personality, just everything. You get it taken away from you, and things that are out of your control, and you just continue to fight, and you're eventually get back on course.
You should never have ever have any doubt what you're capable of, by the way, after you pulled through that too. Jamarcus Sanford, Batesville, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he would definitely be person number one that'd call you up and tell you to get going. He's been a great friend, hasn't he?
Oh, man, tremendous. That's one thing I love about him. He's not the biggest or the anything, but man.
See, I loved your face lit up when I said his name. That was great.
Oh, yeah. He's one person that you need in your foxhole right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about somebody you can count on any given day, no matter what you're going through. And he's just going to encourage you and make sure you need, when you think about having great friends and great people around you, you need someone who knows the second that your demeanor changes, your personality is not the same. You need someone who knows how your body language. Those are the people that you need around you, that can sense the slightest thing. Even you can't even fake it, So those are the type people that you need in your circle.
Well, you had the incident with the Uber driver, which those charges got dropped and had a happy ending to that. He just right away said, "Are you okay, buddy?" He's like, he knew something was wrong. That's what a good friend does.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
And you might think everything is okay, that you're thinking that you're fine.
Yeah.
But the slightest thing, that's when you have the right people around you and help you get through those tough times. And it's easier mentally. It goes back to when I was a kid. Every day I was trying to get up and go to school on my own and bypass everything negative around me. And I'm wondering at the end of the day, geez, I'm trying to do the right thing, but I'm still in the same situation. Yeah. So that's a lot of wear and tear. So you need someone to help every day, whenever you need it, whenever you're feeling down, to get you back on track, to let you know that, don't worry, you're going to be fine. Just continue to do the steps, keep the plan in place, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about that. It helps put you at peace and, okay, I'm going to keep fighting. I'm not where I want to be right now, but I'm going to continue to fight. I'm going to continue to do the things and work through them and get the job done.
I really appreciate your openness and your candor about mental health, and especially professional athletes. I think a lot of people, and when we've seen that with so many, big time celebrities or whatever, they get called out on social media or whatever because they're having mental health issues. But at the end of the day, you're a human being and you're out there and you're performing, and that's a very difficult thing to do. And I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about Coach Judd, because and once again, the new book is When Your Back's Against the Wall, and this is one of my favorite parts. And so you're in Granny White Park, right? So this is a park in Brentwood, Tennessee. You're at the point now where you see that little crack of light and you're crawling. And some guy just comes up and walks up to you and says, "I'm going to start praying for you." And I don't know about you. I usually say thank you, but I'm kind of like, okay, he's going to take my wallet or something. You just kind of wonder when somebody's that open.
I know I was in an okay area.
But this, yeah, well, Brentwood, it's kind of dicey, but the thing that I thought was so wonderful about it, how he ends up folding himself into your life on that. This guy turns out to be, and of course I like it because he went to University of Tennessee, but I'm a little biased like that.
For sure.
But I know hotty toddy, go Ole Miss. I'm not going to make you mad.
It's all good. You guys are on the East. We don't have to see you too much.
Yeah.
We're not worried. Trust me. We got Lane behind us. We scored a ton of points, and we're going to be fine.
It's so weird being a Tennessee fan. I have all kinds of weird feelings about Lane. Sometimes I want to burn a mattress, but other times I really respect what he's doing.
The success he has, I
tell you what,
probably jealousy.
Jealousy.
He continued to.
Josh Heupel's doing okay.
Yeah, he's fine. He's okay. Great season. Great season last year.
Yeah, so but no, trust me, I got a couple.
That's that SEC talk. Oh man, I love it.
We're having that same talk right now. I got to have with my boys.
I can't wait till Saturday come. Oh, man, that's the most important. Or it's one. A lot of days are important to me, but that's Saturday. That first college Saturday. Wow. You have your routines. For me, I get up and hurry up and get to the gym, get my cardio out. I get on a cardio machine and I start watching that first game.
Do you have friends over, or do you sit there and scream at the television by yourself?
I love watching all the games by myself a lot of the times. Yeah. I mean, the distractions.
Are you as funny as the Mannings?
I just enjoy just everything. Yeah. I can be at times, but no, I just enjoy and relax and just take it all in. It's such a, especially when the weather's great and man, you got the teams that you enjoy. You're just watching them. It's because for me it helped me to become who I am, and just to see the young athletes doing what they love. It means a little bit more to me, but I just enjoy it all.
I loved in the book when you were talking about how when you got to college, suddenly you're like, hey, I'm getting meals, I'm getting a bed, this is my job. I mean, your attitude, and the coaches knew it too. If it was out drizzling, you were going to be the first one out there. You weren't hoping practice got called off.
No, so, I absolutely, geez. Yeah. I mean, that's why my body feel the way it does, because every day was a game day for me.
Yeah.
I was sitting in the meeting room, the team meeting before we went out to practice, and I was nervous like a game day. So I was about to go to war every day. That's just how I had to go about it. I just loved it that much, And college, when I first stepped on the college campus of Ole Miss, walking through the Grove, I just enjoyed every time I got to walk through the Grove every day. But the first time I stepped on campus was my slate was everything was wiped clean for me, and I felt for the next 3-4 years that I would have a place to stay every day, and you couldn't kick me out, or I was going to have meals every day. And so I enjoyed that part of it. I felt that success in everything that I worked toward, that was it. And I didn't take it for granted. I had a sense of, even in life, with everything, it's about sense of urgency. I think people take the seconds and minutes and hours for granted, and you have to have a sense of urgency, and it goes by so fast. You think you have the time, and you don't. So I didn't take anything for granted. I just enjoyed just walking across campus. I keep saying campus because we actually have it's a beautiful campus, and no one else feels the way a University of Mississippi student feels when they walk across campus.
I will say,
I'm just throwing a little shade, but no,
the phones are lighting up all from Starkville for some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't,
Geez, let's not talk about that. I mean, they'll never get that feeling. No, it just can't happen.
Okay. So if you really, really want to talk to Michael Oher, go to Lemuria Books today, 5 o'clock.
Talk about it later.
But buy a book first, right?
Yeah,
So
we can't argue about football till later.
But that's awesome. Thanksgiving's always so much fun here in Mississippi anyway.
No, Thanksgiving's awesome. Get those guys battling.
Isn't that crazy? It doesn't matter who's the underdog. They're probably going to end up winning because there's just so much emotion around that game.
And I can't stand it because we're always not the underdog, and they can't. They derail the end of our season a lot because they know that's all they're playing for. We're actually trying to move on to bigger things and national titles and stuff like that. So. No, but it's all fun and games.
See, I love Michael Oher talking
that was
smack
actually
right here on MPB.
Mississippi State was actually the first unofficial visit I went to.
Really?
Yeah, down in Starkville.
Who was coach then? I was trying to think about that.
Should have been he was the assistant coach. That was Jackie Sherrill. Was it Jackie Sherrill that year? I think when I was getting recruited.
Yeah, you started with Ogeron and then moved to Hugh Freeze pretty quickly at that point. And it's cool.
I didn't play under Coach Freeze.
Oh, you didn't play after.
But to go back to that game right there, they lost to LSU 45-0.
Okay.
So I had to go back and look at the score, but it was a lopsided victory.
That's always a bad day for recruiting. And it was cold.
I said, geez, I can't deal with this every week. No, I'm joking again.
Well, since I did make the mistake on Hugh Freeze, part of it's just because I'm old and I can't remember anything anymore on time. I don't know about you, but I'm just sitting here looking at the years you played. I was like, wasn't that last week?
No.
It's
even
like,
when people think about me, it's with everything, you got to move in time doesn't seems like it just happened yesterday, but it quite a few years. But
wait till your kids are in college. That'll mess with you. Really.
Yeah.
You're like, when do they start letting kids go to college?
Time is not waiting on us. You have to stay positive. You have to, it keeps you young. You have to keep the energy going. You can't let any and everything get to you. Well, that's why it'll age you.
That's one thing I love in the book. Like I said, you got a playbook in there. You got 9 steps for folks, and the number 1 is 1-2, which I think is such a huge part of it. And definitely, and there was one point in here, and I forgot what it was. It said you got to treat a problem that you have like a math problem. It said you were good at all the other things, but math was something you really had to learn because it was literally starting with the beginning and having to work your way through it through steps.
Yeah.
That is so life right there.
No, it is. And that's why I love math. When I finally caught on to it, missing a wiki, algebra, and man, it took some time. But once I finally learned it was the most enjoyable thing because you one problem can last you 15 minutes. And once your head's down, you're just lost in it. You're not thinking about it. You're just lost in it. And to complete that, it was the most enjoyable thing that I'd ever dealt with. And it's just about life too. Just, starting off and getting the plan together, knowing what you have to do, and executing it before it all can become tangible.
Yeah.
You have to take it one step at a time. You can't rush it. It's nothing fun in rushing anything and trying to be successful at it. It's just, for me, I like to be authentic and to feel it and to make sure it's going to happen and go through it, because I can't trust anything else when you have a life of things failing for you and not happening. So you have to go through these things and to make sure it's executed the proper way.
So I'm thinking about when you're visiting the Big Oak Boys Ranch down in Alabama, and you meet Kennedy, right? Kennedy would have read through you if you weren't real.
Oh, 100%.
In 2 seconds. And that's the thing. When you're dealing with kids that have been through things, if you're not honest and you're not real and you're not who you are, there's no sense of you even bothering trying, because you're not going to ever win their attention or their support.
No, it's when you're coming from that kind of background, you've been through so much already, so much failure, so many people giving up on you, nobody feeling not wanted all the time. So, and people they're in and out of your lives, so many changing and moving parts at all times. And you need that, like I said earlier, authentic person, someone who has been through what you've gone through, who can recognize the potential that's in you and let you know and be truthful what it takes to get to where you want to go. Because other than that, it's kids shouldn't go through those things and have to battle and worry every day. And it's like I said, when I was Kennedy age, even though he was a little older than me, he needed me. I needed me to come back and let me know the things that I let him know, so he can just rest at night and not have to get up and be on edge and worry about the next steps, if the next steps are even happening in his life. So it's very important. It comes down to being consistent, being that consistent presence. That's all it takes right there. And it starts early on. Of course, you need your mom, you need your dad. But if you can find someone who's going to be a consistent presence and is speaking positivity in your life every day, and someone you can count on, I mean, you'll change so many lives, and you'll be close to ending poverty, close to correcting the educational system, and all kinds of things will change if you can be a consistent presence in someone's life.
That's right. It's been proven that if a child has somebody in their life, doesn't have to be a parent, like you said, somebody that cares for them, that believes in them, that loves them, then they're going to escape all the trauma and down the road and everything else. And that's exactly what you're doing. And that's when we'll talk about the Oher Foundation a little bit on the other side of the break. Before I go into that break, though, remember today at 5 o'clock at Lemuria Books here in Jackson, Michael Oher is going to be signing books. You're going to love this guy. You're going to love meeting him as well. Don Yeager helped you with the book as well. He's longtime associate editor at Sports Illustrated. He's written a bunch of stuff. Good guy. I'm glad you got to work with him.
No, he does a great job. I also had another friend of mine, Walker Petty. He helped me because I started this book a while ago. Yeah. And I got to give him some credit. And I put it on the pause for a little bit, and got to give Walker some credit for helping me finally getting it done last year. And it's been tremendous. Just going through it, and it can help, it's not just young people, but if you're going through things, and it's like I said, going back, when things go off course, it's because the fundamentals that you once had when you started whatever you started, you got away from them. Yeah. And everything that helped me, and you kind of get away from things, but you got to go back to it's making the simple things great, doing it over and over and over again, and it makes it worthwhile.
Definitely as well. All right, well, we're going to take that quick break. This is Now You're Talking on MPB Think Radio. We'll be back with more Michael Oher.
Hi, I'm Dr. Susan Buttress, host of Southern Remedies, Relatively Speaking. Join the conversation every Tuesday at 11 as we dissect issues that are important to you and your family. That's Relatively Speaking, Tuesdays only on MPB Think Radio.
When your kids are too young to drive, they still have to get places. Lots of places. So you spend lots of time in your car or SUV driving them to those places. Thank goodness for MPB Think Radio. While you're waiting in the pickup and drop-off line with the trizillion other parents, you have fresh air, Southern Remedy, Morning Edition, Everyday Tech, and a host of other MPB programs to keep you company. Go to mpbonline.org to find out what's on and when. You take care of the kids, we'll take care of you at MPB Think Radio.
Exactly. Welcome back. This is Now You're Talking on MPB Think Radio, and we have in the studio a very, very special guest, Michael Oher. The book is When Your Back's Against the Wall, Fame, Football, and Lessons Learned Through a Lifetime of Adversity. He'll be signing today at Lemuria Bookstore. That's at 5 o'clock today in Jackson. Okay, Ole Miss fans, if you're in the Oxford area as well, he'll be at world-famous Square Books tomorrow in Oxford. Same time, 5 o'clock as well. 5 o'clock's always a good time to have a book signing. I can give you a quick book review on the book. Number one, you learn a lot about who Michael Oher really is. And look, Blindside, nice book, nice movie, obviously won an Oscar, yay. You didn't really get a sense of what makes Michael Oher tick when you see that. In fact, the thing that got me was you were having like questions from even the football teams thinking you couldn't read because of that. And I know that was tough for you to get past.
Yeah, Kim couldn't read and write.
Yeah, which you obviously can because I'm reading a book that you wrote. So
well, it goes back to when you have something like that comes out. You know, The Blind Side. The book came out in 2000 while I was in college. So to have something about you that you can't read and write is not good. Going into a locker room, especially an NFL locker room, you got general managers, you have coaches, and if you know anything about the NFL. And you know the mentality that you have to have. That's something that you don't want to have out on you. And for me as a person, you read some of this, I've always I took pride early on in just knowing how to, just being different from everyone around me. So second grade, I did second, third grade in elementary doing speeches and school plays and just.
Wait a minute, you're telling me you weren't shy?
No, I've always been
shocked. I was like, wait a minute, you're sitting there running football smack on me, but no.
So to have that happen to you, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, especially if you're trying to reach the levels of my profession and just me as a person, you know, to be labeled, because it brings now. Your personality changes completely when you're going out to meet someone or you get anxiety about talking to someone. And, you know, what this book right here is doing for me is taking me back to who I was before all of this and being that person who's, you know, laughing and want to be around people and just letting people know that even another thing, letting young people, the generation behind me, know that, hey, whatever you see in the movie or books you've read, you have to understand what it took for me to be this 18-year-old kid when this story started to take shape and the things that I went through and had to go through to get to that point, just from 3 years old to 18 when I moved in with the Tuohy's family, who I'm grateful for letting me stay my senior year there. But you have to understand, and I was an All-American football player before I moved in with them, but you have to understand what it took for me to get to that point.
Right.
And you get all from that point prior, you get everything taken away from you, your hard work. And that's what I want to let the young people and the generations or whoever know, that you can get things done, like I said, with some want to. And it's simple, but looking yourself in the mirror. And I started that at 11, 12 years old.
That's one of the steps, by the way, in the playbook.
It's one of the
that's huge, by the way.
One of my principles in the playbook is looking yourself in the mirror. And I started that early on and telling myself that the people around you, they're in a they're in the situation that you're in, or even worse. So they can't come and help you. They can't save you. You can't put your problems on them, because I mean, it's not going to do anybody any good. And I was just telling myself, it's going to be up to you to change the narrative and take yourself to places that you never could imagine. And that was being another principle in the playbook, is, you know, being relentlessly positive.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
having to, my attitude and preparation effort, I every day I jumped up out the bed. When the alarm clock went off, I made sure that I didn't lay around. I hopped up and I had a sense of urgency about me. I walked around like I was running. And those are some of the principles that was missed, and that I hate that got lost in everything. And it, you know, took away from who I was, and, you know, a little bit, you know, hurtful at times, but you continue to get through it, and we're here now, and that's the most important thing.
Well, I mean, the thing was a double-edged sword, right? So you had the hurtful part, but you also had the momentum that it gave you, and obviously
the position.
Yeah, it gave you a platform.
I'm honored to be in the position that I'm in right now.
Oh my God!
Without it,
seriously, when you come back on the show in 10 years, you know, I will probably be really old. You're going to help so many kids. It's unbelievable, because of the momentum that literally, when your story got out there, and now this book is out there, and people are seeing the interviews, and they're getting to know that you have literally got a heart of a lion, right? That you're not a Detroit Lion, thank God, right? So,
No.
But you got a heart of a lion, and you're pushing
That's
through.
the most important.
And you now, because you know you had a concussion that nearly it kept you in the bed for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, that was in the dark, folks. I can't tell you enough. You go through a concussion, that is one of the worst things that you'll ever go through, because you literally robbed you of everything. But you plowed through that, and now, because of people like Matt Burke, and because of, you know, I'm just going through some of these names that are in this book. And folks, really, honestly, you realize that, number one, if you had been down in your dumps about everything that had happened, if you'd had a frowny face, if you'd have been like a flatulence in an elevator where nobody could get away from you, but they wanted to, right?
Right.
None of these good things would have been happening.
No, you can't. I knew I couldn't dwell on those things in order for me to get out of the tough times. You just can't do it. And of course, you're not going to be happy-go-lucky all the time and be positive. But the thing you have to do is be consistent.
Yeah.
You have to be disciplined in order to accomplish those things, and you know, everything else will happen and take its shape. But you have to be able to think that you're special. Yeah. And you have, for me, these are the things I put in my mind and help me to, I could have given up numerous times, but you have to be, like I said, relentlessly positive.
Well, thank God you didn't, because, you know, hey, I get to meet you, and this is incredibly cool, and you've inspired me, and your 9 steps in your book literally helped me pull out of surgery, and here I am 5 days later sitting there talking to you. That's how incredible that, I mean, to even think that you can have like that kind of surgery and be doing this. Yay, thank you.
Man, you're tougher than a nail. You're probably one of the toughest, probably the toughest in Mississippi. 5 days, vocal cord and chains.
No
Jesus
problem. Spinal
Christ.
stuff. It's great.
Wow.
You know, it's good. And I get free Wi-Fi. All the titanium is good stuff. It's really good. Fantastic as well.
Bars are always there.
How can folks find out about the foundation?
OherFoundation.org.
Yeah.
Go there, and we have steps to let you know how you can help and how you can support us and help us continue to grow and reach the young people that we're trying to reach. And for me, education is the most powerful tool behind everything. And without that, success is limitless. With great education, I saw, once I got out to Briarcrest and started to be around other like-minded people who wanted a great education, wanted to go to college, and I started to learn about life, and it just changes the narrative. It changes. That's the true definition of changing the trajectory of someone's life. Is education is so powerful.
We talked about a little bit out in the waiting room, in the green room. The first half of your career is obviously about your career, about football, and about getting to where he is. Now it's about your soul, and you're going to save a lot of souls. And congratulations.
That's incredible. I love that quote. I told you I'm gonna steal that and tweet that. I'm honored. And chasing a soul and being authentic to who you are is the most important tool that you can ever have, because for me, you feel like you left. It's kind of like playing football. You don't want to feel like you've left some on the field when you haven't given it your all. And man, that's the most, that right there is what you'll regret more than anything, when you feel like, man, I left a championship out there on the field and didn't give it my all. And now after the game, it's so funny when you're playing football, when you chasing a championship, then you lose that game. The season went by faster than anything every single time, because you're thinking, I could have done more. I could have done more.
Well, just to kind of give everybody an idea, because like I said, we got about 30 seconds left. You started 110 games. You played 110 games. That just tells you.
Including 12 playoffs, so 122 out of 122.
Yeah. So you left it out there on the field, definitely.
I gave him I don't regret it at all, mentally and physically. So you have to give it your all and to get to where you want to go.
Michael, this has been a treat. Really has.
Thank you.
I'm really honored to get to meet you. It's been a great conversation too.
No, it's been fantastic.
It's good stuff. You've got a future in this too. So just to let you know.
Wow.
You're a good storyteller.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you got a story.
I'm going to take you up on that then.
Okay. Well, talk to Jermaine. She's the boss around here, not me. Yeah, I'm definitely not the boss. Signing tonight, 5 o'clock, Lemuria Books here in Jackson.
Yep.
Signing tomorrow at your Square Books up in Oxford, which is a very special place to you. So you're going to get to see a lot of friends and family up there as well.
Howdy, toddy.
So that's great. That's it. All right. That's it. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for having me. Mississippi, glad to be back. Looking forward to everyone coming out in Jackson. Let's go.
This has been an honor. This was great. Hey, I want to thank you for listening, and special thanks to our special guest, really special, Michael Oher, for joining us today. If you'd like to hear this or any past episodes, subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app or on our MPB Public Media app. Now You're Talking is produced by the incredible, wonderful, and awesome Jermaine Flood. Hey, stay tuned for Southern Remedy Healthy and Fit coming up next. Join us next Monday, 10 a.m. right here. I'm Marshall Ramsey. Y'all have an awesome week.